So, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you are joining through this call. We understand because we're a global community, we could be living in different time zones. So, we're glad to have you here for what we are calling the leadership in action, how to inspire, influence, and impact your team. And today we are glad to have Diana Ondoga, who is our speaker for the day. I've tried to know Diana for some time now, and I've followed her content sharing on LinkedIn. From her LinkedIn profile, she shows that she works with Stanbic, which is where she works as the manager corporate social investment. She's also a TEDx speaker, and she does a lot of social impact work, an author as well, and one that champions purpose driven community change. So that is something about Diana. And she usually writes a blog that says, Dear Leader. And it was from that interest that I said, I need to have Diana on the call such that she can be able to take us through some of these nuggets. And also her being a leader and working in the corporate space, but also working in community change projects that require a lot of stakeholders here and there. And then also understanding that our community has young people, people who are in their mid careers, people who are already leaders that would love to learn one or two things around leadership. So you're most welcome, Diana, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation. We look forward to learning from you. So I think I would ask you to just maybe share with us who is Diana. I know I've just given some insights, but it would also be good to just you to hear from you who is Diana and what can somebody know about you.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach Samuel, and thank you for the opportunity. You've pretty much summed up who I am. Just as an addition, I'm a mother of three, and I am passionate about the job that I am currently executing for Stanbic Bank, which is around social impact. In fact, that is why we're on the road, because earlier today we were doing a donation at the police training school in Cavalier. I am really looking forward to the conversation. I just checked the attendees, and you'll forgive me for being one-sided, but I see that I have lots of sisters on here. Being the month of the women, I am really delighted to see that statistic. So thank you very much.
You're most welcome, and whoever is joining the call and falls under that category, we're glad that you're on the call, and then I could recognize that. But also, we want to recognize the men. We live in an era where we are seeing a lot of men hold back to such spaces. Uh, from my experience, I would honestly say that even with the membership of the Transformational Professionals Club, we have a lot of really women that are giving this attention. So I think the work of empowerment is actually doing great work. So kudos to all the initiatives that are trying to support women on that aspect. So as we get into the journey, I think for me, I would just want to hear from you. Why leadership for you, Diana? Why is it a topic that you're passionate about? Why did you feel that you need to speak about this subject? Could it be about your journey? Could it be just out of passion? Why leadership? Maybe for the audience to understand uh, the connection between you and leadership.
Okay, thank you very much. It is John Maxwell that said everything rises and falls on leadership. But before I encountered that phrase by John C. Maxwell, I've been in the career more than 15 years in banking. And along the journey, I have had the opportunity to experience great leadership, but also not so great leadership. So, one of the reasons that I write Dear Leader is just to help those who either are on the path of leadership or aspire to be leaders of people so that they can get it right. If
Yeah.
you look at how the career progresses for people, for many people, they will get promoted into a leadership position
Mm.
because of their technical skill. They're
Yeah.
technically competent, but when it comes to people management is not a walk in the park. It's not something you wake up and just do. So it's to tell anyone out there who you're technically competent and strong and you have aspirations of becoming a leader, or you are recently given an assignment of looking after God's most important resources, people. There is a particular way to be able to extract value from individuals, be it at
Yeah.
work, be it in a voluntary environment, be it at church or anywhere. There is a particular
Mm.
way of extracting value. So I write for anyone that either wants to be a leader or feels the call to leadership. So, Coach Samuel, that really is it.
Great, 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 great. And I like the fact that you've mentioned that you have gone through what you may call great leaders and also leaders that are not great. And I love the fact that you didn't say bad leaders anyway. I don't know if at all that term anyway actually does exist. But maybe from your experience, I would just want to just key understand what are some of those qualities that you would regard for somebody to be a great leader, especially from the experience of the people that you have worked with as your leaders?
Okay. I will first also backtrack a bit and look at the
Yeah.
definition of leadership. And I'll go to Uncle Google, where Uncle Google says leadership is the social process of influencing, motivating, and enabling others to contribute towards the effectiveness and success of a shared goal or vision. So there is
Yeah.
influence, there is motivation, there is enabling. Now, if you ask me about great leaders, I believe this definition sums it up beautifully. One, the element of influencing. When people walk into, and speaking about career, when people walk into offices, there are different motivators that get us to do jobs. Not everyone is there to serve. Some are there to earn income, others are there, okay, we're all there to earn an income, but for some, the motivation is I want to be associated with this particular brand or a different cause. Now, different companies have a mission statement and their purpose statement. A good leader
Yeah.
will get different individuals, regardless of their motivation for being in that space, to work towards the mission statement or the purpose statement. That's the first thing. Secondly, when it comes to influence, it is not about the title, it's not about the position. You've heard about the influential leaders. These are individuals on the team. They have no title, but they're able to convince individuals to align to a certain viewpoint. So that is also a great thing about a non-positional leader who's able to influence and at different levels. When it comes to motivating, research has shown that salary is not the only motivator for individuals. The great leaders that I've worked with have gotten me to deliver value at, I'll say, at a price where I felt, at a time when I felt, I could be earning more. But because of how they listened to me, because of how they appreciated me, because of how they gave me responsibility, I felt like I was a valued member. And in that, I was being motivated. So that's another element of a great leader. When it comes to enabling, The leaders gave me access. They gave me opportunities, even those above the grade I was working at. They allowed me to grow. I'll give an example. I've worked in 2 banks, and in the previous bank, there was an opportunity at the point that the bank was changing a system. At that time, I was working in the branch network. And there is my line manager who believed in me, that they nominated me. And this is a bank that had more than 50 branches. They nominated me to join the project team. My time there sort of shifted my trajectory from the normal banking trajectory to where I am today. So if I am to break it down, great leaders influence positively, number one. Great leaders motivate their teams. Great leaders also enable others. They create opportunities, create platforms, and allow the team to rise. I've talked about career, but I'll also speak about voluntary leadership. And voluntary leadership is one of the hardest things that someone can do. And I consider it a great training ground for anyone that is interested in leadership. Because if you're a leader of volunteers, you're not paying them anything. They are giving of their time, they are giving of their resources. So, under that arrangement, all the characteristics of leadership are put to a stronger test. It means that if you're required, and no, not if you're required, as a leader, it's important that you're humble. In a paid career, you will be humble. When you're leading voluntarily, you must even be humbler. When it comes to articulating the vision, when you're working with a team and they're paid, like how we work in office, you come in and you know what you need to achieve. As a voluntary leader, you must find ways of reminding the team of the purpose of why they are there. So it takes much more from the leadership in office and in organizations. I just thought I should mention that as well, Coach Samuel.
Okay, great. And I like whatever you have really shared, and I think that gets me to the fact that you mentioned what can those that are aspiring for leadership do, and you brought up the aspect of volunteering. How has it been for your leadership journey in terms of being able to move from, let's say, maybe starting out with volunteering to where you are today? How has that journey been? How has maybe volunteering supported your leadership journey as an individual, away from the leaders that you've worked with?
I think that my leadership journey is rooted in my childhood. When I was prepping for this, the fact that I am a last born, for my parents, I am a last born, but a cousin sister
Okay.
of mine picked an interest in me and decided, come and live with me. So when I went to live with her, I was the oldest child, and my nephews now became
Um,
like my siblings. So at
yeah.
that point, there was a responsibility expected of me. There were things I had to do. There was a way I had to behave so that I am exemplary to my nephews. And that's where my leadership journey, I believe, began. Because after that, when I got into the workplace, but even at school, by the way, there was home. At school, I served in different leadership positions. Then, when I got into work, I was the kind of person that would not wait to be asked to offer a solution. If something is going wrong and you are looking at it, you don't wait for someone to ask you to do it. You do it. And somehow, through that, I was able to get sponsors that have helped me along the journey. But I think that my turning points in leadership were one, when I took on the role at Stanbic Bank, and I am really grateful for the organization because of the training that is offered and that's available. I underwent a course. And that course is when I first met the personality analysis, where I was able to establish the personality types that I am, but also it allowed me to understand other personality types. The beauty with those personality tests is that you understand yourself. It also diagnoses ways of dealing with people of other personalities. You realize that sometimes conflict is not because someone is bad. No, it's the fact that there are elements of personalities that are clashing. So for me, when I went through
Mm,
that training and we did it as a group, it allowed us to understand our temperaments, what our strengths are, what the weaknesses are, or areas of improvement. Of course, in those tests, you're encouraged to focus more and utilize more of your strengths. That was one. The second thing I did, I signed up for the Worship Harvest School of Leadership. And while there, it was the realization that when it comes to leadership, you cannot point a finger at another person. It starts with
mm,
you.
mm,
So in that course, leadership starts with you. It moves to others. It includes resources as well, even finances. So those are the journeys and milestones that I have gone through in my leadership career. So when I'm sharing Dear Leader, it's from lived experiences, it's from observations, it's from lessons learned. I have had a chance to serve as a volunteer, and I noticed there's a comment in the chat about someone who has been a president of Rotary as well. When the
yeah,
bank was
that's
starting a
great.
Toastmasters club, I was the first president. It was new,
Wow.
it was a development area for many people. So the purpose is clear. People are drawn to the club. But how do you get them to show up for the meetings every week? We had to
Mm,
convince, we had to remind, we had to encourage. If you're giving feedback, luckily the Toastmasters model is sandwich. Great, area of improvement, conclude with great. So there was a framework that we used, and somehow it allowed us an opportunity to work as a team. People grew, people got better at public speaking, and I really enjoyed my time. And I look back at it fondly because it could have gone south, but it didn't. It went well. Yeah.
mm. Okay, okay, great, great, great. And could I want to think, like, for example, the journey to getting yourself into leading the Toastmasters? Was this something that maybe okay, maybe you volunteered yourself, or even other? I'm just trying to get from the perspective of somebody who is listening to us right now, and they don't have an opportunity to lead, even if it's maybe a voluntary uh, position. How does somebody position themselves, especially for leadership? And this could be in the workplace, but also in the volunteering spaces. Is it something that you just jump into and maybe put up your hand, or is it something that you actually wait somebody to reach out to you, or are there certain attributes that you need to be able to demonstrate, especially when you want to position yourself with leadership?
Interesting question. Looking back at my journey, I did not position per se myself. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was because of my how I was raised, the secondary leadership, that that drive, that natural drive, not to wait to be asked. That's the first thing. In fact, I got to a certain point in my life that when I would be in spaces, I would sit at the back intentionally because I'm like, if I sit at the back, they will not pick on me to lead. Unfortunately, it kept happening. I would be picked on to lead. I don't know what it was about me, but I think it's
Mm,
one, being solution oriented. Number two, also looking at the positive side. In many
yeah.
situations, there will always be an opportunity to lament, right? Or to
Mm,
complain. But a leader will try and find the opportunity because if you allow the negativity or the lamenting to continue, you lose the team. So you
true.
need to try and get them to see the positive, to see the benefit. You know that thing called We FM? What is in it for me?
Meaning for me.
That's a
Yes.
framework, yes. That's a wonderful framework to apply. But that is not what is in it for you. It is what is in it solution oriented. We've talked about positive. We've
Mm,
talked about recommendations. Many times we are waiting to be asked or we are seeking permission. If you
yeah.
notice something, make recommendations. In fact, in the workspace, beyond certain levels
Mm,
of leadership, they will tell you the reason you were hired is to think for the organization.
yeah.
So when I say think for the organization,
Okay. Um, some small more i- i- internet, but maybe to stabilize. But thanks for the insights that are coming through and for the comments that are also coming through. Please keep sharing your thoughts as we really proceed through the journey. See what can we learn from leadership. And I like what you just shared there, and maybe also just to share from my side as well, that my leadership journey has been one of baptism by fire. Basically, you are today there and next day you were a leader. I remember one of the times when I was appointed to lead the cross-function team. So we used to have projects and they allocate different staff to different projects, but of different departments. And as you're there, somebody says you will actually be our leader. So there are cases that will actually come through and somebody will just say, you are the leader, you are the one who is going to take on this kind of project. So we need to be able to be ready for those opportunities. I usually use the notion of, for example, if at all you you are a teacher in a school, are you somebody who just focuses on lesson in your class, even if you find maybe kids that are supposed to be in class are playing and they're not in class, but because you feel doesn't really bother me, you just take on to go do your class, but do not. Yet there's another teacher who will actually try their effort to make sure that they are either asking why are you not in class right now. So for me, leadership comes with proactiveness, intentionality in the way you deliver. Like you'll be able to separate between who is a follower and the leader. And even as we proceed, I believe that there's one aspect that sometimes we're afraid about, like sometimes we have imposter syndrome within us, asking ourselves, can we really lead? Do we have the capabilities that we need to be able to lead better? And sometimes that holds us back. But just like it is for any kind of skills, leadership is also a skill that can actually be developed. And we've seen a lot of people who have been able to start from a low background in terms of their leadership and they've been able to actually lead at the end of the day. Now, we live also in changing times where we have a lot of dynamics. Now we have Gen Zs in the workplace, but we also now have young people leading older people. I've had a lot of experience in that aspect. And one of the things that for me is when you're leading, you need to be able to understand that the people that you're leading are human. And at the end of the day, you don't just lead like the way you lead sheep, that you take all these people to be the same. When you're leading individuals, it's important for you to get down to the individual that you are leading, to be able to understand them, to understand, like Diana just shared. As you understand temperaments yourself as a leader, I think it's also good to understand the people that you are leading. Because when you understand the people that you're leading means that you're going to deploy the right leadership for these people. Because we now have, like I mentioned, we have people that are older, people that are younger. So you can't lead the young person the same way you lead, let's say, the older person. So that is what I really think. But I also want to welcome some of you to share, especially from the thoughts that Diana has shared as we get to have her back on the call. Anyone who wants to just share some thoughts by unmuting their microphone around leadership, you can put up your hand and then, okay, Patricia, let me give you some rights here so that you can be able to share. And let's keep also the comment section coming through. Patricia, you have now the rights to be able to share about it.
Thank you. A good evening to everyone.
Good evening to you, Patricia.
When I saw that topic, I was really impressed, and I was praying to God that by that time I be free, because I've been a little occupied. You reach home at 8, very tired, but I'm glad I've been able to make it on call very early. My journey towards leadership has been interesting. Immediately when I was still living at campus, when I joined church, someone just disappeared with church money. He was part of the youth, and they just disappeared with the money. And then the leader is like, Patricia, you're most welcome. I want to entrust you as our treasurer. But here we don't pay. I'm like, but why me? I've found many people already here. She's like, no, I'm just giving it a try, and God has told me just to entrust you. So when I took it up, the period ended, and they had to elect new leaders. It's being hard. Some people might think, you ate their money, you're changing clothes, you're using their money. So it was a tight seat. But I'm like, God, if you really brought me here to serve, let your will be done. I served for 3 years as a volunteer. There is no pay in church. And I made it. Another term came in. I told our leader, no, let me also give chance to other people. Everyone refused. They were like, no, let Patricia go back. I'm like, but I have to give chance to other people. People are like, no, we still want you back. I'm like, it's okay. And then there are periods we have activities. We assign individuals so that everyone has a chance of taking part. There are activities that really involve money. And then at the end of activity, people are not releasing accountability for the money. And then they're like, even if you assign anyone, give Patricia the role to handle money. I'm like, they've assigned people. Why again me? I was really hesitant, but she's like, no, Patricia, with money, not that you did the course, but I've seen you really account for the money. Please take on that leadership because no one else can manage.
Great, great, great. And what is your lesson
And
from that
when I got
experience?
a new job, I had to travel out. I left people. My lesson,
Yes,
I
proceed,
really,
Patricia.
I am a problem. I'm just, I don't know. But me, I think it comes from God. However much you try to resist, if you've been chosen, you've
Yeah,
been chosen. Thank you.
great, great. Thank you so much for sharing. And Diana is back on the call here. I would love to hear Diana's thoughts about leadership, especially, it's a leadership comes from God. And I think sometimes there are people also who have held back to say, I don't think I'm a great leader. And sometimes as the leader, you hold, I was mentioning to somebody saying that leadership is actually not a privilege. Leadership is a responsibility. So, Diana, your thoughts on Patricia's journey?
Okay, I managed to catch a bit of it where she mentioned that no one wanted to take up the leadership after her. And that's a challenge that many leaders also experience,
Mm,
where people say, you're good enough, you're doing a great job, carry on. But there's the reminder that leaders are human beings first. So they also get tired and they need change. I like to call that the punishment of success, that if you're great, people keep adding you things to do. So, Patricia, I would like to find out, did you take on the role? Did you continue with the role? Or did you request somebody else to take on the role?
Okay. Patricia? Okay, maybe she will be able to share with us. Yes, Patricia.
Okay. I did refuse, but our chairperson still insisted. She's
So you
like,
took on
no,
the role.
yes, despite my absence, I still have the role on me.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. And I think it's because you had built trust to a point that the leader was concerned about your absence, and it happens. But I think I posted a Dear Leader last week that you test a system when the leader is away. And that's why organizations also have leave, so that the
Yeah.
leader can take a break and another person has the opportunity to act in that position. Now, there's a twist to that. A leader may select someone, but the person may not feel ready for the role. And then for me, I believe that points to the hiring process, especially in organizations. It is helpful, and if you're lucky and you run a recruitment process, you should be able to pick an individual that can be ready for your role in either 2, 3, 5 years. So that even you, the individual or the leader, you're able to grow. Because what will happen in another scenario, like Patricia described, the leader may not be able to take on another role because of the sense that once you're not there, things fall through the cracks. So for any leader, if you're in the hiring position, look out for individuals that you're able to grow. If you get into a role and find individuals that are already there, try and get them to see the vision that you have for them. If they're not able or they are not interested, then you start to consider, where else can we place you in your area of strength? Because if you have an individual on the team who's not growing, it means that there's like a plateau that you will reach and you can't do anything about. So that's an area that as a leader, someone has to look at. If I'm not the one hiring and I find people, how do I work with them to grow them into the area that is their passion point? And I think that in some cases, it may mean that the person even exits the organization to find that thing that makes their heart sing. It is painful to lose a resource, but if they find something that really, really they love, you would rather let them go and then get someone that is passionate and that you can grow. That's really my view.
Great, great. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think that also, I would love to also hear your thoughts about leading across different generations. I know that on the project that you're dealing with, having been one of those that participated actively, you work a lot with young people, but also in the same way, you also work with people that older. How have you been able to balance leading such kind of people?
So there are about 6 generations in the workforce now, and you find that you're working with all of them. Something that has worked for me is to find out what values they hold dear. Millennials and above, they value, like, timekeeping is important to them, attention to detail is important to them. Some of them also value hierarchy. You cannot jump certain, positions to speak to them. Those people are there. Now, when it comes to the younger generation, they say it as it is. They want quick returns. They want exciting things. You have to explain the why. Once you figure out what each age range or each, generation, what is that one thing that makes them tick? What is the one thing that can help you get maximum value out of that? Then you need to work with that. Optimize what you can and be able to get value. And you find that there is a clash of generations. There are things that Gen Zs do and Gen X, and you find a millennial who's pissed. In fact, in office, you find people wondering, these Gen Zs, but there are amazing things about them. They'll quickly turn around a project. Our generation, risk analysis. You have to figure out what applies. How do I apply it? How do I make it work? Yeah.
Great, great, great. Thanks for that. I think also maybe how have you also managed, especially around that in leading, let's say, had maybe team members that maybe might undermine you as a leader, maybe because you're younger than themselves. How do you manage such? And also maybe your perspective around feedback up when you're giving feedback to, let's say, you're a leader to somebody who is a leader, and maybe you are one day leading.
Okay. So when it comes to difficult colleagues, you have to apply mentorship, coaching, inquiry in those situations. For many organizations, they have diagnosed a policy that is a guideline on how to deal such situations. But where I have had a difficult colleague, one, we've had a conversation where we point out the feedback. Something about feedback is that some people believe that feedback is raising your voice, shouting at people. No, you can give feedback and the other person receives it very well because of how you present it. First of all, I believe that everyone is a leader in their right. Before people walk into office, they lead a family. They are a leader in church. They might be their
Yeah.
LC1 community. They own a company. It is the realization that just because you are the positional leader does not mean you know it all. That's the first principle. And that will keep you humble and grounded. Now, once you know that, you approach the other person with the understanding that I'm sure if I explain it to you, you will see where I'm coming from. You know that image they draw of the 69? That they are both right. Because from where one person is standing, they are seeing a 9. So you have to make sure you appreciate the other person's viewpoint, where they are coming from, and get them, okay, sometimes you have to get them to see where you're coming from. Other times, you might even be aligned, but it's how the other person is stating it and how you're stating it that makes it different. So you need to find shared meaning. So where I've had difficult stuff, do a conversation. First, start with feedback. Give them a chance to change. Once those changes are not happening, it's important to document, put on email. If there's no change, then that's when you involve maybe a human capital, that's HR individual, or for the companies that have employee relations staff, you bring them in, and then the process follows. And then you talked about feedback to senior staff. First of all, when I talked about the personality test, the personality tests help you, they sort of state how best to engage the other person. I'll give you an example. It has ego, it has dove, it has owl, and a parrot. The egos, you get straight to the point. The dove, you have to lay out the feedback. You layer the feedback. So you start at a certain point. How are you? How is your family? Eventually get to the feedback. The parrot is someone who is, they are bubbly. So when you're giving the feedback, you could use a joke, you could use a story. For the owl is structured. So if you're giving them feedback, you need to lay out your feedback in a certain way. So once you understand the personality type of your leader, it makes it easy to pass on the feedback because you'll figure out how best they will receive it. So that's the approach. And for those wondering if I'm not able to do the personality type, I know that there are some free ones on the internet. There are animals, there are colors, there are birds. Find one and do an honest review of yourself, because when you're honest, you will open up yourself and be able to appreciate who you are, how you respond, what stimuli will get you where, but also it will empower you on how to achieve with the other individual.
Okay, great, 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 great. I love the way you have brought in the aspect of again the assessments, and you've clearly put it forward that you have to understand who you're leading, including the people that lead you, to understand how they in terms of what are their temperaments. And that also gets me into a question. So there's a common quote that says, if you want to make everyone happy, don't be a leader, sell ice cream. And as an individual, some people call me nice. So, and that alone somehow affects you because you want to be the nice person. But at the end of the day, again, you also get to understand that you've actually worked maybe with leaders that are not as so good leaders, that you don't feel like maybe they are empathetic and all those aspects. I would just like to hear from you in terms of does it mean that when you're a leader, there are times when you're actually going to be maybe bad, or is it part of the entire journey? Or you can actually lead from the heart, you can lead with empathy. How do you balance through all this in terms of and making sure that you're not again underscoring? Because when you actually that person leader, sometimes you actually taken for granted. Yet at the end of the day, you want to be able to drive results. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that quote and that perspective. Okay, Diana, you're on mute. I don't know if you're on mute by mistake or your network. Okay, as we get Diana back, would somebody want to share their thoughts so far on what you can put up your hand, and we give you an opportunity like the way Patricia's done. And thanks for the comments that are also coming through. And why I've actually asked that question, as we have somebody share, is that we live in an alien age where we have a lot of leaders that I don't know. I don't know if leadership is just becoming hard, where we have a lot of people, let's say, who are promoted maybe because they have stayed in the organization for a long period of time, but at the end of the day, they do not have the necessary leadership skills. And that is actually costing a lot of people in terms of even their stay in organizations, because you find that a lot of people are leaving organization not because they don't love the job, but because of the leader. So how do we equip ourselves to be better leaders? One of the things that I kept on telling myself is that when I become a leader, I need to become that leader that I wished my leader was at that time when I was being led. And what I mean by that is because if you've gone through tough leadership, you're asking yourself, how about what if how about I was in the same position, like what would I do? And then God actually blesses you that you actually become a leader. But sometimes I see some people forgetting about the experiences they went through. Like you've gone through bad leadership, but when you get into leadership, you also follow in the same way. Sometimes I don't know if because we've learned from this bad leadership, sometimes you learn indirectly and you think that that is actually the best way to lead. So I think these are things that we need to be able to think about, because leadership is not just about you as an individual, but the people you're leading, being able to think about the impact of your decisions as a leader and making sure that you're not just taking on leadership and using your authority for your own benefits, but your time in your leadership, somebody can actually sit back and say, we have a great leader. Diana, are you back? Are you able to hear us?
Yes, I'm back. Sam, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. Before you
Okay,
went off,
okay.
I don't know if you picked the question or you want me to repeat.
Kindly repeat. I see someone in the comments would like to say something, but kindly repeat the question.
Okay, I don't know who is that one, such that I can give you rights. But as that person comes through, so there's a quote that I saw that says, "If you want to make everyone happy, don't be a leader. Sell ice cream." That is from Steve Jobs. And my question is around how do we balance being good leaders where we're not being taken for granted, but being able to also drive results, and how do we make the workplace a better place? Making sure that we're not having cases where employees are frustrated, employees have to work even when they are sick because they have to drive results. How do we change that status?
Okay. There's actually a difference between niceness and kindness.
Mhm.
Someone who's nice will smile at you, but someone who's kind, the person who's
Mm,
nice, even when you're in the wrong, they won't tell you because they're being nice. A kind person will package it and will share that feedback. So,
yeah.
how do you balance empathy and delivering results? Or how do you balance kindness and delivering results? Once you have a shared purpose with your
Mm,
colleagues, once you have a shared purpose with your colleagues, it's easier. But also, if you have a team, there's a saying that to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. It means that if you are lucky to have individuals like that on your team, they will easily make the distinction between your now, this is work time, now, this is leisure time. And we can be cheeky with the boss, but when they are serious, they are serious. So, how do you build that as an individual? I have a boss who was very cheeky, but I had a boss who was very cheeky in my past life. But you could be able to tell the moments he was serious and get on with the program, and the moments when he was just being cheeky. So, how I apply that in my current execution, I try and lighten the moment, right? Through that lightening of the moment, it's to tell the team something so that they get to do it. One of the ways you can use is the tone of voice, because there's a tone of voice you'll use when you're being very serious, but there's also a tone of voice you'll use when you're having a light moment. Two, where boundaries are being crossed, you can point it out to the person and say, look here, when it comes to work, it's time for work. When it comes to time for chilling or, the lighter side of things, we're able to do it. It's a delicate balance, but you have to continuously make sure that no boundaries are being crossed, even for you and the person, because you might think you're being cheeky, but when you're offending the other person. So you also need to check. It's a two-way street. Yeah.
all right, all right. Thank you. And in Babazi, you can be able to speak. You have the right. Just unmute and share something. And then Babazi, over to you there. Thanks so much, Diana. Oh, okay. Yes, and in Babas, you can speak.
Oh, thank you so much. Sorry about that. I think I had joined using the website. So it's okay. So I'm just adding on to Diana's point of a leader should you should okay for me, in my opinion, I think a leader should be a chameleon, depending on the environment you're in and maybe the weather or okay the changes wherever you are. If you're in depending remember, chameleon can turn to yellow, it can turn to green, and it depends on where it is. So for me, a leader should be 50-50. You should be 50 friendly and 50 not friendly. Because once your friendship with the people you're leading is too much, is more than 50%, it calls for disrespect. It will call for a lot of for conflict. It will call for a lot of things, for a lot of unwanted drama in the people you're leading. So you should, once you take on a leadership role, you should be able to be, as she said, personality types. I think we all need, as a leader, you need to know these personality types. You need to know who exactly are you leading? When do you need to be serious? When do you be playful? When do you need to pay attention to details? When do you need to understand that, okay, this person is annoyed, you need to handle her with care. Maybe this person is very playful, you need to, first you need to give them certain types of tasks, how they'll perform. So as a leader, number one, you also have to know the people you're leading, study them well. Then it will help you lead well. A good leader, as she said, of course you should be having boundaries and limits. Okay, it does. Of course, you're supposed to be bossy. You're supposed to be on one side, but also as a good leader, every leader is a human being. They have feelings, okay? And everyone must understand that a leader is not a robot. A leader is not perfect. You also make mistakes, but how are you correcting your mistakes as a leader? How do you want people to see you in public? Of course, they'll see you today. You have fallen in mud every day you ever slept, and they will start from there. But they should understand that you're also human, and they should also give you that type of respect that even if you're dirty, they will respect you that way. So it depends on the way you're carrying yourself amongst the people you're leading. So yeah.
Great, great, great.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mercy, for sharing. And Coach Diana, there is a question here from
Coach Samuel, you're muted.
I hope you can hear me. I was asking a question from Ruth Busime around what advice would you give to somebody who is trying to shy away from leadership roles due to past conflict or disappointment?
That's an interesting scenario to be. It's interesting. Conflict is actually conflict is part and parcel of leadership. There's actually a book, How to Have Difficult Conversations, and I'd recommend it. So I missed the name, but why would you want to run away from leadership? If I go via the biblical way, leadership is a blessing because it gives you an opportunity to look after God's, what would I call it? His most strategic resources on the earth are human beings. So how can you navigate where there has been conflict? Humble yourself and offer an apology, and then let your actions demonstrate that there is a change in you. Where trust has been broken, your consistent actions is what will help regain the trust. So one, apologize. Two, be consistent with a corrective action. If you feel a call to learning, like the Transformational Professionals Club, and understand so that you get better at the leadership and take up the mantle.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Diana. And I believe that we can be able to relate. Thanks for the comments coming through. In case somebody has a question, please, you can rise up and then you can ask as we get down to conclude. But as we get that question coming through, I'd love to just hear, Diana, from your side. What are some of those aspects that we can use to lead people that not maybe in the corporate workplace, maybe voluntarily, that are in volunteering position as a leader? How do you lead such person, especially where it's not like they're getting some monetary benefit? Sometimes we've seen people, especially let's say in associations, where they are not providing results, but at the end of the day, you're also saying as a leader, you're like, but at the end of the day, it's a volunteer position. So how do you make sure that you're getting results as a leader, but also motivating them to be able to offer whatever they need to offer within that volunteer position?
Okay, thank you, Sam. I'm going to take the question on volunteers. I think what works best is when you clarify what the other person will benefit from that particular engagement. At that point, you are the leader, but what drives that person? You benchmark on that and continuously remind them of the benefit from that engagement. If I look at, I told you about the Toastmasters at the bank, but also there was an organization where we came together, people from different walks of life. We tried our hands at an investment. Unfortunately, it failed, but on that, I was also a leader. Luckily, people had invested money. There were times when we needed to go and visit a particular area, and only a select group of people would be available. The strategy that worked was to remind the other individuals that they had invested money and it was important for them to come and visit the farm so that they could see their investment. Of course, some came and others did not, but that one or two incremental or people that came, it makes a difference for the rest of the group. I wanted to comment on your earlier question around the ice cream. If you want to be a leader, if you don't want to be a leader, I think ice cream seller, that one. I look back at moments when I've made hard decisions and you communicate and you know that you've communicated and it's not received well, but there's a direction that you need to go. That's when you apply situational leadership. Today, you are smiling, like I think it was Mercy who said chameleon. Today you're smiling. Tomorrow, if you want to deliver something, there's going to be a stretch. There's going to be discomfort. But for the leader, what works is reminding yourself why you are making that decision. Because we are human. You can make a decision and inside your heart you're also breaking. But you know it's to the benefit of the team. So there, your self-talk matters. You have to tell yourself why we're doing this. Also, at that point, talk about the benefit to the other person. And you'd be amazed. There are situations where I took hard decisions, and those teams are some of the teams that we have stayed closest to because they saw the changes that happened because of those tough times, and they are rising and thriving wherever they are. So if you're a leader and you need to make a hard decision, go in with your chest as long as you're sure that the benefits are clear for the team. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for that. And I think there's also I want to say that yeah, we always make those hard decisions as leaders. So it's like I said, leadership is not a privilege. Leadership is a responsibility, and responsibility comes with decision making. So there's a question here. Okay, says so leadership is more of influential impact than a position. I think this is maybe an addition. Let those questions keep on coming. Maybe one last that is coming through from my side, Coach Diana, is how do we, and again, somebody has also asked in the chat box, maybe related. Leadership is very lonely, and there are lots of mental health issues with leaders where you have to hold responsibility of organizations. Right now, like, for example, leaders who are working in NGO world, we've seen a lot of changes, not even only the NGO world, but different industries are changing so much where leaders have this heavy weight on them in terms of making sure they lead their teams through these changing times. How does a leader rejuvenate, manage their mental health, but also keep themselves learning through the journey of leadership? Maybe you could also share from your personal experience. What are some of those things that you do? They could be resources, they could be materials that could help somebody who could be in a leadership position and is holding this weight on their shoulders.
Interesting. When you say leadership is lonely. Yeah, and the higher you go, the lonelier it can become. But
Yeah.
what I've seen is that as a leader, you can identify certain trusted individuals. They have to be tested and tried. Where on that day when it's too much for you, you go and rant and let off a bit. It helps a bit. If you're not able to have that individual that you can trust, then you need to look for a therapist and have a conversation. Remember that at certain levels of leadership, there's even information that you're not allowed to share, but you have to carry. So you also cannot just share with anyone, but you can have a therapist. You can get into an exercise routine. I know that people say if you go and box in the morning, you thought of some things. By the time you're facing the elephants in the room, there's a bit of wind that is in you. So you can do that. Also, before we take on careers, there are things that we will do that make us happy. You enjoy music, you enjoy chatting with certain people. Do not let go of those interests. When things are tough at office, when things are tough in the career, you can draw energy and you will be rejuvenated from doing those things. Personally, I have trusted friends that I can share with. Also, God. God is there. If you're a believer, you know that the one thing with God is not going to share your things. Go lock yourself in a room, cry, talk about it. By the time you leave, you'll feel better. And when I say cry, first of all, kudos to all the men in this conversation. As much as I said I'm glad to see the women, I am delighted to see that you're also on this call. Many men feel like a lot of these things are for women, but no, even for you, the man, go and lock yourself and cry in the room. No one will see you. But when you cry, you talk to God. The fact that you have released it makes it lighter. So those are the things that I would recommend. Something people do is journaling. But remember, journaling, you're writing and leaving a record. So again, you have to be careful about what you're writing, that you're not revealing too much. So it's a delicate balance, but find something, and you know the things that make you happy. Some people, when they cook, they are happy. Others, when they have a glass of wine, they are happy. Others, when they go for an overnight, they are happy. Find it and do not let it go. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for those sharings, and thanks friends that are also sharing their thoughts when it comes to this subject. I don't see a question here in the chat box. I think as we wind down, I want to now come back to the people that are listening to us. I know we have people who have not held in leadership position, and yeah, in one of the ways they might want to tap into leadership. What are some of those advice that you could give them in that journey of leadership as they aspire to become leaders? Any words of encouragement that could support them on that journey?
I think the one thing that many of us do not realize is that if you want to be a leader, you have to be a good follower. And that's the element of empathy. Many times we expect empathy from our leaders, but when it comes to them, we're not willing to extend empathy. And that saying that if you want to be a good leader, you must first be a good follower, it speaks to a certain mindset. When a leader is explaining something to you, are you viewing it from their lens? Can you pick an insight? Or you're just going to bash it? When a leader asks you to do something, are you going to resist without explanation? That those processes you go through, those moments when you understand what your leader is going through, is part of the best preparatings. And there are those individuals, we never asked to judge the leader, but the goals of their leader. Once you do that, your mind opens up and you prepare yourself naturally for a leadership role. So for me, the one thing I like to say is that if you want to lead, empathize with your leader. They are unpopular, they make you uncomfortable, but if you try and understand where they are coming from, that's a big step in your personal journey to leadership. Thank you, Coach Samuel. Coach Samuel, you are muted.
Great. I was having an internet issue, but thanks so much for the responses. And Imbabazi wants to add something. And Imbabazi, please.
Oh, thank you so much. Let me just maybe add on to also maybe if you want to really be a leader, you need to have you need to identify a mentor. As she said, you need to get someone that you can talk to, but also you need to find someone in the leadership positions that inspires you, that can inspire you, someone you can lean on to get advice, someone you can lean on to help you through the journey. But also you don't need to be a loner. You need to also get into public spaces like Rotary. If I say Rotary, I have really gained a lot from Rotary. That one I can't even discredit it. That's why I'm emphasizing it. You can go, as she said, this speaking club, which speaking, I've in the club, she said, it is a leadership speaking something club, but you need to be out in the space, not only with the people you know, but go and engage with different people, that those that you don't know. Social networking is very important for you to groom you and make you a good leader, but also to prepare you into the journey of leadership. Yeah, I think, for now, that is it. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that. And I think that also makes us to share with you that the Transformational Professionals Club is also a community where we also grow together as leaders. And that is why we create such kind of forums and conversations. Again, also understanding that leadership is not just about the actual practice of leadership, but leadership encompasses many aspects. And as somebody who's going to be a good leader means that you're going not just look at yourself, but you can also be able to groom yourself through skilling. And you mentioned about public speaking, communications, which are some of the programs that we really handle. I just want to ask Charity to give a few words as we're appreciating our speaker for the day, and also share how members can be able to join the Transformation Professionals Club.
Thank you so much, Coach. And to our dear speaker, Coach Diana, we really appreciate. For me, it's how the conversation has been so real and authentic and very relatable. I like the relatable examples that you kept on using, and indeed we are looking for such kind of authentic leaders who will tell us from to be a good leader, I have to first be a good follower. That one is sinking in, and the reminder that if we are to be great leaders, we have to enable others rise and to take up those voluntary opportunities. And so much has been shared even in the chat box, and we hope to even host you again and again. Thank you very much to our members who have joined the call today, this evening. We understand how Friday can be so competing with other activities, going out and all that. We really appreciate you always sparing time to be with us. Thank you for choosing TPC. I'm sharing the link in the chat box. The membership for now is still 250,000 shillings only, and for us it's even the opportunity to give opportunity for people to be part of us, to have a community, to share these real examples, life experiences that we face every day in the offices. And there's no safe space sometimes to share because you don't know who it will reach to, you don't know the consequences. And our encouragement is even if you don't join us as TPC because maybe you're in other communities, our agenda and our mission is that you'll be part of a community. Coach, maybe you can help me share the link. My WhatsApp is not opening here.
Okay,
To join our community, you can tap on that link. Then you'll be able to be in the part of the community where you can hear from us, where you can reach out, where you can do any inquiry regarding work, because you have over 700 members and you can ask anything, and whatever you ask, there's someone in that profession, there's someone who has faced it, and they will be able to respond to you. If you're to be a paid up member, you pay the 250,000 shillings that I've talked about, and there you'll be able to enjoy even other opportunities where we have a meeting where we share, connect, learn. As Coach had already shared, we have 4 pillars. That's to grow, connect, learn, and identify opportunities to earn. And you can follow us on LinkedIn. We'll be happy to always have you here, and please find a community. Be part of us. or because of different interests, reasons that might be known to you and very important to you, find another community. Make sure you're in a community. Charity Nyonchuti is my name, and I support on this club, and I'm a member at the same time. Thank you so much. Over to you, Coach. Sorry I couldn't put on my video. Next time, please. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, our leader. Today with Leadership Day, and yeah, we recognize your leadership. Charity, friends, join me in thanking Charity for the great leadership that she has given to us as a community, and more so it being a voluntary leadership. We really, really say thank you so much, and we really, really appreciate the sacrifices that you come through. Sometimes when you're pushing us, be like, you have to show up, you have to come through and moderate sessions. All those things, I think, are really helpful. So may God bless you in that journey. So thank you so much. As we end the session, I would ask Coach Diana to just give us her parting shots before we conclude. I know, Diana, we are calling you Coach Diana, whoever comes through here to give us nuggets. Either you're a coach or not, you actually a coach to us. So that is something that we are really grateful.
Thank you, Coach Samuel. I think I like the sound of it, Coach Diana. I just wanted to add something to what Mercy said about mentorship. These days, those days, mentorship is great. And we're encouraged to have an individual, a mentor that we go to. But with the advent of social media, you find your mentors on social media, on internet, you can engage with them. So the point I am making is, as long as, if you're looking for a mentor, don't tie yourself to an in-person conversation. If they regularly share, you can utilize that to mentor yourself. At the end of the day, the process of mentorship is like acquiring knowledge. If you don't put it to use, it becomes useless. So even if you have 10 mentors but you don't apply yourself, it won't yield. That said, from me to you, thank you very much, Coach Samuel, for the opportunity. I'd like to applaud everyone that has been on this call. It's a Friday, like Charity said. People would be in different places. It's end of month. I know there was rain in Kampala because we're out of Kampala. But for you to volunteer this time is a gift to yourself. It shows that you're dedicated to developing yourself. The journey of leadership has its very tough moments, but once you do it right, the returns are for a lifetime, because every life you touch, you're not just touching that person. I still remember the first leader that gave me my first job. And they gave me my first job in an unconventional manner, but because they saw something in me. This is many years, more than 18 years, and I can still remember. So once you do leadership right, you are sowing seeds for the future, for generations to come. So embrace it, learn about yourself, learn about leadership, keep learning, keep growing, and together we can make sure that our country, Uganda, stands out in various ways. Thank you very much.
Great. Friends, join me in thanking Coach Diana for the great presentation and for being here. She told me she was on the road, but she told me she will do this. So, Coach Diana, we want to say thank you so much that you have come through. I'm sharing Diana's link to the LinkedIn. I've seen her very active on LinkedIn. So just go to LinkedIn and search for Diana Ondoga. You'll be able to see her LinkedIn profile there. She shares a lot around leadership. So I know that whatever she has not shared here, you'll be able to see it in her posts there. Diana, you mentioned in your bio that you're an author. I don't know how we can be able to tap into that material that you've written. Maybe we'll be able to hear from you But thank you so much for coming through, our participants. This is the Transformation Professionals Club. We are a community that exists to help professionals connect through our activities. Also to announce, we have an upcoming event. It's called the Link Up UG. Some of you have seen some of the posters. As the Transformation Professionals Club, we are partnering with Link Up UG to bring you this event. So if you are out there and you'd want to connect with great leaders, people that are of like minds, please sign up such that we can be able to be together on 4th. It will be Easter Saturday, so those that will be around, you can be able to join us. In case you are a TPC member, this comes at a discounted fee, which is one of, course, the benefits of yourself as a TPC member. This is only at 130. In case you one of our others, then the ticket is just 150,000. In case you have any inquiries or any questions, you can be able to reach out and we can be able to help you accordingly. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming through, and may God bless you as we continue to be good leaders. In summary, let's be those leaders that we really wished our leaders were when we actually attain leadership positions. From me and the team at TPC, may God bless you. Bye-bye.